I will be right back soon. Okay.
Okay. Welcome, Mas Anthony Lee, Bu Nimade, S2, Mbak Ambar, and
Ya,
then
Halo Mas Wija.
halo. Ini ngantor, Mas?
Saya piket dari rumah Mas hari ini.
Oh, pikir dari rumah ya, kan masih ini apa tuh? Gimana selaseng liburnya itu ngitungnya 6151 atau 6171?
61 kadang 61 kadang 52.
Oh, 6152 ya. Oke.
Kombinasi karena dengan kondisi sekarang 61 terus nggak sehat untuk otak.
Oh iya. Welcome, Mbak Anita.
halo Mas Wija. Hai Mas Antoni.
Halo Mbak Anita. Wah, udah mau berangkat ya Mbak?
Masih menunggu border dibuka, Mas.
Welcome, Pak NHS. Still mute, Pak NHS.
Halo Mas Sore.
Ya, good afternoon, Pak NHS.
Mas Anton.
Halo
Apa
Pak
kabar?
NS, berapa tahun kita nggak ngopi nih Pak?
Nah, itu dia kesalahan sistem ini.
3 tahun kita nggak ngopi nih Pak.
Itu dia. Apalah kalau Semarang. Salam kenal Mbak Teruli.
Salam kenal Bapak. Sehat.
Alhamdulillah berkat doanya. Mbak Teruli.
Pak. Ya.
Mbak Teruli, saya minta maaf ya. Saya sejak tadi itu jaringan saya agak lemot ya. Saya pakai Tetris ini untuk ngimbangi. Nanti ya kalau saya tidak on cam nggak apa-apa ya. Masuk keluar.
Oh iya.
Ya, jaga-jaga aja.
Ya,
Saya
baik, Pak.
agak deg-degan ini. Sepenting ini apa? Aduh. Nanti aku minta anu sama Pak C lah. Ya.
Bapak, baru saja saya kirim link Google Docs di chat box.
Oke.
Jadi nanti semua pertanyaan itu akan saya kompilasi. Jadi Bapak tidak perlu capek-capek lagi kalau melihat pertanyaan, manjat di chat box.
Chat box aja ya.
Ya. Bu Laila, are you here?
Yeah, Pak Winja, I'm here and ready to present.
Oh, you're
I'm
here in
looking
the
for
crowd.
a spot. I mean, that is has best signal ya. Jadi aku ke Visipol.
Visipol UGM.
Iya.
Di Jogja. Oke.
Iya, aku kan lagi monitor Emir yang itu masih diisolasi kan.
Sekarang gimana kondisinya? Baik tapi ya?
Sudah katanya sudah bisa makan.
Oh, very good.
Ya, tapi masih harus nunggu 5 hari lagi untuk isolasi.
Oh, oke. Ya, it's good ya.
Ya.
Ya. Semoga cepat ini ya, cepat selesai isolasinya.
Amin. Thank you.
Thanks, so far so good ya.
Yeah.
So Bu Laila's son is, currently having COVID-19, but it's getting better. It's gonna be all right, I think. So let's pray together for that.
Amin. Thank you.
Welcome, Mas Tommy.
Good afternoon, Mas.
Ya, sehat Mas Tommy ya.
Alhamdulillah. Good afternoon. Sehat.
Yeah, thanks for the article from Bu Mutia. Yeah, so
Most welcome, Pak.
Bu Mutia is one of the writers of the book of what is it? Democracy Without Demos.
Okay,
So,
it's 10 o'clock already. May we start, Picha? Or is
yeah,
it better to wait for
I
others
think
a little bit?
we will. Yeah, we will wait for other minutes, I guess. Yeah, because I think it's a weekend, so perhaps we can be a little bit lazy. Yeah, 5 minutes lazy is okay.
Okay, that works.
Fifteen and 5. We'll start at 15 and 5. But Pak NHS, are you ready? Are you there?
Ready.
Okay, yeah.
Akses saya bisa dikasih Pak Jai?
As co-host?
Yes, I see.
I think you're already a co-host, right?
Oh yeah, thanks.
Oh, not yet. Pak Gulam, could you please give Pak NHS a co-host, please? I will chat Pak Gulam, so he gives you co-host as well. Pak NHS. The English version of Bu Mutia article has a different picture. I think this from her younger era, right, Mas Anthony?
Yeah, I think so. Every day we have, I think, 6 or 7 articles that are translated into English.
Very nice. Yeah, I just surprised with the picture. Yeah, I have chat Gulam, so he can give a co-host to Pak NHS right now. Oh, Pak NHS has just left the Zoom, so I think there's some connection problem. Okay.
Actually not, Pak. I can still see Pak NHS, Pak.
Oh, okay, good. Truly, I think we can start. Pak NHS, are you ready?
Okay, I ready.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. We can please start it with a bit fun, cheerfulness, and also relax, yeah, because it's a weekend, truly. So
Okay.
Have a heart to this,
Yeah.
participants.
Will do. Okay. So hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Perhaps there are some several participants from in Australia or New Zealand, or I don't know. So I'm really glad to have you here today, even though it's weekend. And thank you so much for your enthusiasm for this summer course. So today, I'm Truly, by the way. I will be your moderator today, and we are going to have 3 speakers. First, Bapak Nur Hidayat Sardini. Please correct me if I pronounce it not properly, Pak Nur Hidayat.
Yeah.
He is a lecturer of government science at DIPONEGORO University, and his interest lies on political science, government, and elections. Bapak Nur Hidayat, Bapak, it is what we use in Indonesian to call someone that we respect, or a professor. Bapak Nur Hidayat has several publications such as Leadership of Women in Local Politics, Election Governance based on Public Participation in Indonesia, and Political Territorial Boundary Dispute, and many more. And our second speaker will be Ibu Laila Khalid Alfirdaus. She's a program director of Master Program in Political Science at DIPONEGORO University, and her research topics are public policy, civil society, and gender. She has several publications as well, making rural peoples of urban entities, mining sector under new law of decentralization, and Islam and local politics in the quest of Kiai politics and development in Kebumen, and many more. And our last speaker will be Wijayanto, or Wija, that we have known already. He's the director of our summer school and director of Center for Media and Democracy, LP2IS. He's also a lecturer of government science at DIPONEGORO University. His interest lies on media and democracy in Indonesia. And his publication, quite a lot actually, Bourdieu and Media Theory, Alt Practice in a New Era, Campaigning Online and Offline, etc. So first, I would like to welcome Bapak Nur Hidayat to present his work to us today.
Okay.
The floor is yours, Bapak.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks you, Mbak Ceruli, as moderator for this session. The first, I would like to thank to the committee for giving me opportunity to present, especially for Pak Chai, Pak Wijayanto, dan Pak Gulam, dan juga ada rekan kolega saya yang cantik, Bu Laila. Selamat sore. This interest, material election issues mostly appears in political perspective. However, this afternoon I would like to share a different perspective that's relevant with digital technology, as well as characteristics of democracy. Honestly speaking, in some degree, quality of election also reflecting quality of democracy that operate in a vacuum. There is no democracy, there is no election, there is no election, there is no democracy. Allow me to expand, and this time, because a relationship between the application of IT in election is not just a matter of e-voting, but almost all issues in the stage of election can be related to IT. When I was between 2008 to 2012, as chairman of election supervisory body, Bawaslu RI, and then continued as a member of the honorary council for this election organizer. DKPP, Dewan Kehormatan Penyelenggara Pemilu in 2012, 2017, I knew quite a lot about development and application of IT in election in Indonesia. Therefore, I will try to share my experience and knowledge with this forum. Besides, of course, I will add other issues that have emerged afterwards and my view on development in the application of in election in Indonesia. Okay. Okay. Electronic voting is controversial today. The application of IT in election is still a matter of debate. Not all parties, including political parties, accept the idea of using IT in election. There are still disputation, the pros and cons of those who agree and those who disagree. You might explain why some agree, why the others are disagree. As an illustration, next. Yeah. Many election officials look to electronic voting system as a means their ability to conduct and administer election more efficiently. Many election officials, known as Electoral Management Body, EMB or EMBs, are believe that electronic voting system can increase efficiency in so many ways. Yeah, so many ways, and budgeting. Yeah, no need to print material, not necessary to transport to the whole country. No more worry for maintaining and keeping safe ballots from unintended discharge. There are so many efficient measures can be established. Moreover, election organizers also believe that speed of voting result is more reliable. Those ideas are discussed and disseminated in many occasions as a part of development as well as an improvement of election. At the same time, many information technologies and activists have raised important concern regarding the security of such a system. Election technology expert states that use of information technology is also worrying, concluding that in addition to increasing measurement of efficiency, application of IT in general election is also worrying, contain vulnerability and worries. What is the example of the concern? Systems can easily hack, interrupted, distorted, and so money. Social electoral reform activists also concerned about security of electoral system. They ask the election authorities to guarantee election with integrity if they have to apply IT in voting process. Social scientists working in election studies find out that if IT is applied in election, it must be ensure that tool, features, and operating system that use have gone through a testing phase that convinces election participant, election candidate, and credible before the eye of voters. These preconditions are very important for safeguarding the election stage. More importantly, the development sense of transparent and accountability. Okay. Preventing IT tool to be tested and jump into implement of election will hamper election process and result, as well as degrading credibility of election body. it's very dangerous, very dangerous. And policymakers are caught in mid of controversy with both political and technological opportunity. Policymaker, in this case the government, pemerintah, are usually caught in a disagreement between groups that agree with the application of IT in election, dealing with parties who are against the use of IT application in election. The one hand, the support group that agree on the ground that implementation of IT can improve budget efficiency, so that budget item can be used for other urgent interests. But on the other hand, the government does not want to risk election process and result which are rejected by stakeholders, mostly parties that disagree with IT implementation. I have compiled some comparative issues between the advantage and disadvantage is if we apply this voting. I compiled this data from the Idea International, again special from Belgium, Norway, Belgium. Faster food count and tabulation, counting and tabulation of foods faster and does not need to take weeks or even more than a month, even more than a month, as has been experienced in the general election in Indonesia so far. Using IT means that one day is enough for counting and tabulating. Two, more accurate result as human error is excluded. Election results are more accurate because human error is excluded. So far, almost all error, fraud, and irregularities have been caused by mistake of the officer, human error, especially during vote recapitulation from polling station TPS in Indonesia to sub-district PPK, panitia pemilihan kecamatan, or in Papua PPD, panitia pemilihan district. In voting, human error can be minimized since lack of human interferences compared to a regular election we experience it di pemilu tingkat nasional pada waktu itu. Three, efficiency handling, efficient handling of complicated electoral system formula that require laborious counting procedures. The implementation of e-voting is more efficient, and it is able to summarize the painstaking calculation procedure. In the latest general election in Indonesia, many election officials were passed away due to exhausting of very long procedure, especially in PPK, PPS, PPK. Number four, increase convenience for voters. Voters who hold ballots, surat suara, kertas suara, will feel comfortable on cast the vote. Sometimes, even if voters use cell phone, will be more than comfortable. Why not? Next, more attuned to the needs of an increasingly mobile society. The modern human lifestyle is always to feel more comfortable. If voting is also in line with need of modern human, because IT is part of modern human needs. It makes everything simple and easier. We can see and prove in our human appliance. Six, prevention of frauds in TPS polling station and during the transmission and tabulation of result by reducing human intervention. Lastly, and it is very important, the key for fraud is human action. Whereas a voting drastically reduce human intervention as well as action in election process, in election result. Next, we will of the weakness, the right side. Yeah, potential violation of the secrecy of the vote, especially in system that perform but voters authentication and vote casting. One of hallmark of IT in election is the concern of exclusivity. It's happened because the passcode or program unlock key or the access security is pure on the hands of certain peoples. If their species is misconduct, then it is actually a very, very big loss. Number two, a risk of manipulation by insider with privileged access to the system or by hackers from outside. Risk of manipulation by insider with privileged access to the system or by outside hackers or possibly others. An example of the case was Cambridge Analytica during 2006 US presidential election, which portray us to have no power over everything. Sangat mungkin terjadi juga dalam masa-masa sekarang. Three, increased security requirement for protecting the voting system during and between election, including during transport, storage, and maintenance. Implementation of voting on election requires high level of technology that result on high budget. Therefore, the budget will increase for those purpose even to voting. If voting is actually in a micro level reducing election budget. Indonesia election experience within the limits that's allowed by law. General Election Commission (KPU), Komisi Pemilihan Umum, has actually taken many steps to utilize IT in implementation of election in Indonesia. KPU, jajaran KPU percaya bahwa IT has a very important rules to set a transparent election. In fact, indeed, KPU has making some evaluation is using IT to foster transparent. This is the evidence. 2004 election using IT on process of election result recapitulation. The officer in district level PPK, PPD input the result, ya, jadi menginput hasil on the district level di PPK tadi itu sent by email to national level, direct to national level KPU office Imam Bonjol to be recapitulated in the national level. National level. Next, 2009 election using IT on the process of election result recapitulation, just recapitulation, scan form ICR, intelligence character readers, perangkat begitu, device. National tabulation for presenting the electoral result in the national level. Next, 2014 election, KPU use IT on every stage in election, from updating voters list, SIDALE, Sistem Informasi Daftar Pemilih, to the process of election result recapitulation, SITUM, Sistem Informasi Penghitungan. And 2019 election, ini lebih lengkap ya. KPU use IT and publish every stage of election, updating voters list, SIDALE, Sistem Informasi Pendaftaran Pemilih, political party verification, SIPOL, Sistem Informasi Partai Politik, kandidasi, SILON, Sistem Informasi Pencalonan, boundary delimitation, SIDAPIL, Sistem Informasi Daerah Pemilihan, based on district. 5. Process of election result recapitulation, SITUM, Sistem Informasi Penghitungan Suara, and good and service procurement system, pengadaan barang dan jasa yang berbasis pada IT. Next, Indonesia election experience. Much progress has been made by the KPU in its effort to create election that are more transparent, accountable, with integrity, free fight election. As we can witness, KPU has made many breakthroughs in application and utilization of advanced in information technology. However, implementation of IT in general election conducted by KPU has not yet touched on aspect of the election process until it determines the election result. This is a big challenge that must be borne not only by KPU but also by election interest group, stakeholders, multi-stakeholders. The use of IT in the Indonesia election is limited to how to assess the process of the election stage, but it has not involved significantly in election process and election result. Therefore, it is merely a tool. It's just a tool, not significant on election process as well as election result.
Excuse me, Bapak
Okay.
Nur Hidayat. I think there's only about 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks. The most concrete of IT is the implementation of e-voting, and this has not been achieved by the KPU. Why? Why? KPU encountered a significant obstacle that DPR RI dan pemerintah had not yet given a mandate to the KPU to implement e-voting. Why? Jawabannya adalah dalam konstitusi Indonesia, otoritas penuhnya ada pada pembentuk undang-undang, ialah DPR dan pemerintah. Thanks very much, truly.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Bapak Nur Hidayat. And again, I apologize that I have to interrupt your presentation because of the limited time. So let's move on to Ibu Laila. Is it okay with the connection there? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Butruli. Good afternoon, everybody. I think I saw some of my friends in here. Ada Pak Bendi Baskara ya, sama Mbak Made Sukartini. How are you guys? Long not to see you. But by the way, I will be directly straight to my presentation. I'm I'm out of electoral topics, but I would talk more on public policy, but still it is related to digital media and especially youth and how youth use the digital media as a media to advocate their interests. I use data I collected with the support of Yayasan Plan International Indonesia. So from the research I conducted with Plan, I identified that there is actually a trend, or not, if not a trend, it's a phenomenon of youth that that use social media as a way to serve themselves because the policy or the state did not provide the service. So this is the main idea I would like to present to you all based on my research with Plan International. So the topic is on citizens' digital initiative, basic service, and youth collectiveness, an alternate way for policy absence. Okay, next. The background of this presentation is based on consideration that to date, that research on digital media and politics mostly are dominated by the study of digital political participation, how the media is used by the politician or political parties to campaign their platform, and also maybe for social movement, yeah, how the digital media are utilized for supporting social movement among citizens, or maybe how digital media is then become the backfire for the activists trapped by the electronic what is ITE, electronic law, internet and electronic law, something like that. But it's quite few of among the people that try to talk about media among youth and how the youth utilize this for advocating their interest in public policy. That is the first thinking that come up before I present this. I prepare this presentation, and the next is that another thing that is still limited with the research on digital media is that mostly those that are directed to focus on youth are focused on startup. So when we try to search for references that talk about youth and digital media, mostly they talk about entrepreneurship, youth entrepreneurship, which is important, of course, but it only portrayed only partial phenomenon of how youth utilize digital media to as an instrument to advocate their interest in public policy. And also another one is there is also still limitation actually how the social media is related to the response of the youth to the response of the youth by public policy that is quite limited, especially related to the public service provided for the youth, and this study is still not sufficiently elaborated, yeah, by scholars, as well, especially scholar of political science as well as scholar of public policy. And meanwhile, within and before pandemic, we know that actually, yes, we agree that public policy, public service is progressing in Indonesia, especially, but also there are still some holes that are not fulfilled sufficiently to serve citizens, especially the youth. So we know that youth or young people are among the segment of citizens that are neglected by the state because they consider that the youth are still strong enough, healthy enough. And it is why, according to my case study, to a set of policy in Indonesia, youth is among the ones that are left out by the public policy, especially basic service in health and education. I will share with you the case study I elaborated from the research I conducted just several months ago. Now, the research question I would like to raise is, how does digital media play its role in the absence of policy support for fulfilling basic citizens' needs? And then the second one is, how does youth initiative for collective empowerment through digital media play a role as an alternate way for policy absence? So For I use two cases. Actually, there are so many cases that portray youth movement through digital media that show us the youth initiative for advocating their interest in public policy. The first one, but I think I pick up this two because this is the one that I focus more, to be honest. So the case one is smoke-free agents. Yeah, smoke-free agent is it is consisted of youth, mostly are female, but there are also some male that have a great concern on tobacco control. Most of these youth are an alumni of Children Forum. It is a forum of children that is formed and facilitated by the government to participate in the policy planning. But in so many cases, the involvement of the youth in the planning is criticized to be not as effective as expected. But the forum itself has quite positive impact, especially on the awareness of youth of their rights and also their duty as a citizen. Can be seen from the activism they are participating following their involvement in the children forum. So after they are not children anymore, so they are aged above 18, then there are so many children forum alumni that then become an activist of so many CBO, youth-based CBO. One of them is like smoke-free agent. Nah, smoke-free agent actually connect youth from universities across Indonesia. The one I interviewed is from IPB, Institute Pertanian Bogor, Bogor Agricultural Institute. And then another one is from UIN, Islamic State University in Jakarta. Both are female, both share their concern about the lack of awareness of the government toward the tobacco distribution, tobacco advertisement in Indonesia. You know that in this case, I can see very clearly how youth actually are already very progressive, yeah, very advanced in seeing the risk that they might be burned in the future, given the lack of involvement of the government in protecting the young citizen in this country. So based on our interview, they share with us that yes, actually they are realized the government already provided or already issued some regulation that try to limit tobacco, but for them it's far from enough. It's far from sufficient, because there are still so many holes that can still be entered by the companies like to promote their product through media. The existing regulation that limit the advertisement of tobacco, for instance, is still very limited. It's only based on television media. Advertisement that is broadcasted in the television, but the one that is broadcasted to internet still far from the government touch. That is why smoke-free agent try to become peer campaigner for their fellow youth, to first of all to become the activists of the tobacco control by raising the awareness of the healthy lifestyle in the campus, and also by advocating or maybe by having dialogue with the university rectorate not to have the scholarship from the cigarette companies, which is of course difficult to be approved by the university administrator. And also the campaign for having healthy life among university students. Meanwhile, as we know that, healthy life program for university student is almost absent. I rarely know like the strict enactment of like non-smoking area in the campus. Okay, so students actually are not protected. And also there are also quite limited facilities for mental health, including in the pandemic context. So policy is almost absent in these circumstances, and the youth try to initiate this as part of the way to protect themselves, the way to have the right to have a healthy life. And like the one that next please. Okay, next slide. The one okay. Now you can now see the one that is covered with orange color, yeah. Quit not switch. This is also a campaign to to respond to the absence of the policy on the advanced product of cigarette. You know that the existing laws on cigarette is mostly on conventional cigarette. It does not touch electric cigarette, moreover cigarette pouch or velo, yeah. In Indonesia it is called velo, and electric cigarette it is called vape or vape. We call it vape or vape. Nah, you know that youth are already aware that this is very dangerous. That is why they campaign for quitting instead of switching, because companies are campaigning that switching from the conventional one to the more modernized one, electric and pouch one, is more healthier, which is not right, you know. And you know that they are so concerned with the absence of the policy, because the law itself doesn't cover this item, and that is why they try to collect and also campaign among their fellow friends to get involved in the advocacy to the government to revise and also to enact the laws on more comprehensive limitation on advertisement of cigarette in television, including in the internet. Okay, next please. And the second one, another interesting case about how youth actually utilize social media as a way to strengthen themselves in the midst of the policy absence is menjadi manusia. Menjadi manusia, if we translate to English, it would be like being a human. So this is a YouTube platform movement, yeah, by how to call it, by our college that also has a concern on mental health, and they feel that, you know, the initiative was encouraged by the fact that there is not enough support from the government with regarding to the mental health, yeah. And actually lack of regulation, lack of budget, lack of human resources mobilized by the government to respond to the need of those with mental disorders. And they realize that if they depend on the government, then they will just get not so many things. Yes, we see the progress, like in the puskesmas or a community-based health center. We see that there are already some health center that provide mental health counseling, but once they have experience to visit the counselor, they see that actually the capacity of the counselor is not good enough, and they just left and not coming anymore, and they prefer to find another way to deal with their problem. Now, realizing that there are not so many help for them, then they try to initiate this to establish this platform to spread help for those also have equal problem as well as the equal concern on mental health. Okay. Next please, Pak Bula. Okay. Nah, ya lagi. Yeah, thank you. Now, based on the two cases I presented previously, especially on tobacco control and on mental health, yeah, this kind of movement actually fill out the holes on the study of digital media and youth, which is dominated by the study on entrepreneurship, by portraying how the youth actually utilize social media to advocate themselves, to feel what the public policy does not provide as a basic service. We know that in the case of tobacco control and also mental health, actually, yes, there are some regulation already issued by the government. Government already have law number 36 on 36 to 2009 on health, They also have government decree to limit the advertisement of tobacco. Some subnational government also have like governor or maybe regions decree on mental health, but in fact in practice they are all not enough, and those laws somehow lack of its meaningfulness in implementation and not work at all, see, somehow not work quite effectively to help them to get the service as a citizen. Nah, moreover, in empirical practice, actually, we also realize that government has a lack of resources. They have problem with coordination as well as lack of involvement of youth in the policy making, and that is why there are so many policy products that did not answer the youth basic needs, including in health, especially in tobacco control and in mental health. Nah, the presence of the social media platform initiated by the youth to advocate their interest in public policy become more important in the context of pandemic. Like you know that both for the case of tobacco control and also for the case of mental health, yeah, you know that in the pandemic actually those who have comorbid with problem of heart or cardiovascular as well as problem with unhealthy diet, they are very risky with the COVID-19 transmission, and also youth become more prone with the mental health disorder during the pandemic because of study from home, online study, online lecturing, but response from the state is almost absent. Now, the existence of this kind of next, please. Yeah, the existence of the youth-initiated digital media movement as through smoke-free agent and tobacco and menjadi manusia, first of all, become an important part of media or instrument to support offline movement. There are already some offline movement to support tobacco control. In addition to smoke-free agent, there are already Yayasan Jantung Indonesia, Yayasan Kanker Indonesia, and so many others. And this digital platform really help much, especially to spread the campaign, as well as to collect more and engage more the youth in the movement. And then the second one, fundamentally, this kind of movement really helpful and function as a media to support their fellow citizens, especially the youth who have the same concern but equally not gaining enough support from the state or public policy. Menjadi manusia aktivis, which I interviewed like 1 or 2 months ago, share with us that there are so many people that share their concern, share their problem with them, and also need help because the policy did not respond adequately, and they realize that Menjadi Manusia is only social media platform. It is not a counseling institution. So what they can share with them, with the audience, is only the experience they have, the experience the social media activists already getting through with the one that have a similar problem with them. So how to deal with this, who to contact when we have this kind of problem, etc., etc. So this kind of thing, of course, is very helpful despite the absence of the support of the policy from the government. And the last one, as I already discussed previously, that although limited, actually this kind of media is fulfilled. Yeah, it's very important because it fulfills the holes the policy left out to be untouched, and especially in the pandemic context with the very limited support from the government because the resources were pulled to conduct the COVID-19 patient. Of course, all of this kind of movement become very important. In addition to the movement directed to raise up political voice of the youth, like us through other platform. Okay, this is my presentation, Ibu Truly. Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Laila, for your interesting presentation. So Bapak Nur Hidayat has talked about how the use of digital technology in the process of electoral administrative, and then Ibu Laila just talked about the role of digital media in the absence of policy support. So our next speaker will be Wija. Wija?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So perhaps you can share a little bit before your presentation, you can share a little bit what you are going to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about digital citizenship. Yeah. So I will try to link about, our seminar or the summer school is about digital resilience, right? And also resistant to democratic invasion. So I will try to connect these two concepts with the concept of digital citizenship.
Okay, so the floor is yours, Wija.
The screen, you mean?
Yeah, the screen. Excuse
Okay,
me.
thank you. Truly. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're still there, and please drink your coffee or tea, perhaps. But I prefer tea more than coffee, yeah, like the Englishman in New York, but I'm not the Englishman anyway. Okay, I will share my screen. And as you could see there, the title of my presentation will be Digital Citizenship, Cyber Terror, and Anti-Corruption Movement in the 4.0 era. It will still be related with my presentation yesterday about the manipulation, yeah, the online manipulation in the digital public sphere to weaken the Indonesian anti-corruption body. Now I will tell you stories about how the cyber terror was conducted by the powerful people out there, to weaken the movement as well. So we have, in this digital authoritarianism world, yeah, the manipulation of the cyber troops and manipulation of public opinion in the online media, and on the other hand, we also have, like Bu Laila mentioned about, and we have discussed before, yeah, about the law on information and electronic transaction to also prevent the citizens to be active. And now we have cyber terror. However, I will not tell you just a pessimistic story, but also there is also a glimpse of hope there in the concept of digital citizenship and in the movement itself. First, I would like to ask you to reflect together about what is citizenship, right? If we check, for instance, in Wikipedia, then you will find there that citizenship is the status of a person recognized under the custom of law or of a sovereign state as a member of or belonging to the state. Its state is free to determine the condition under which it will recognize persons as its citizens and the conditions under which the status will be withdrawn. Recognition by a state as a citizen generally carries with it recognition of civil, political, and social rights which are not afforded to non-citizens. Yeah, so its status is different, right? It will be the normative definition. My colleague or my professor, actually, Jerry van Klinken, he has a Netherlands citizenship and also Australian citizenship. A dual citizenship is possible in Australia and in the Netherlands, perhaps, but in Indonesia, it doesn't recognize dual citizenship. My daughter, she was born in the Netherlands in the city of Maastricht. She actually can become the citizen of the Netherlands. However, it's not possible for her to be the citizen of Indonesia at the same time. So she has to choose in a time when she is 18 years old. Yeah, so it's different. But this definition of citizenship, maybe I think it changed because of the to some extent, yeah, because of the digital revolution. can you imagine the time of, for instance, 20 years ago? Yeah, 20 years ago, if you want to talk, yeah, with someone in France, truly want to talk to someone in France, you have to register for a passport, right? You have to go there and talk to someone there. But now, you don't need it anymore. You don't need the visa, right? You can just talk to someone in Paris or in Marseille, right? Through digital media, through WhatsApp, through video call, right? Through Zoom, and you don't need the legal document anymore. I can talk with my friends for instance, yeah, from Italy, like Elo here, in this time of digital era, without any visa. Even if I don't know Elo, even if I'm not in Italy, I can just talk to him, right? I can, for instance, interact with Marily, for instance, yeah, in Philippines without a passport right now. In fact, now we're talking, right? We have a different kind of participants here from all of our countries in the world, and we don't have the legal document. So so what I want to say is that the digital era changed the definition of citizen. I will elaborate more about it. But first, I would like to make clear about civic studies. Yeah, civic studies is a study about how to be a good civic creator, or it's also a study about how to be a good citizen in the study of citizenship. Okay, and the question is back to when I talk about the state. What is good in here? Who defines good and not good? Yeah, I think the citizens and the state perhaps have a different definition of what is good, yeah, and how should it be defined, and what defines good citizenship as good. So yeah, state perhaps in the eye of the state, a good citizen is those who obey regulation, who pay tax, right? But in the perspective of the citizen, good citizen is those who have a political awareness, political consciousness, or civic virtue. It's theoretically, yeah. So citizenship is actually not simply a legal member of the state. Rather, citizenship is produced and practiced through political struggles. It's the story about those who are, for instance, oppressed and excluded, that try to claim their rights. So citizenship is not passive form of participation in theory. Yeah? It is an active forms of engagement, as expressed by Eisen and Nielsen. So citizenship involves a struggle to claim rights. So this is something that citizens is identical with rights, with a struggle to claim rights is actually something new in Indonesia, at least, yeah. New means that we don't recognize this in the time of in the new order era. So it's only recently, yeah, perhaps in this last 20 years or less, that we begin to realize the concept of citizenship as claiming rights. So, you know, when in 2007 and 2008, I went to the US and I was there, and one of the subject is citizenship. I was surprised. Oh my God, right? Because I've studied citizenship in Indonesia. If you are you live in Indonesia during the new order, you have to learn citizenship from elementary school until you are in general high school, dari SD sampai SMA, belajar PPKN, right? And this is about obligation of what defines a good citizen. So you know, for 12 years, I got in my school about the idea about how to be a good citizen, which means what is my obligation as a citizen, that I have to obey the state. That, for instance, yeah, I still remember in my elementary school, if there's a question, there's a flood in your place. Who should be responsible for this? That's and there's an option for this. A, this the obligation or the responsibility of the president, the minister. B, the minister. C, the mayor. D, the head of the village. And E, all of us. And the right answer, what do you think the right answer? The right answer is all of us. So you are responsible too in this regard. So the emphasis of the education is on the obligation, not the rights. But now we begin to learn about that citizenship is about right as well, not just obligation. Now I will talk about digital citizenship. I have explained to you before the rights here. The boundaries is not there anymore. If I want, if I told you before, if you want to talk with someone in everywhere in the world, you don't need the passport anymore or the visa anymore. You only need the internet connection, so you can talk with them, right? But if you see the Wikipedia, the definition of digital citizen is a person using information technology in order to engage in society, politics, and government. Yeah. So all that use the internet is digital citizen, regardless on how they use it. And this is definition from Clara Bannister. Digital citizenship can be defined as the norm of appropriate responsible behavior with regard to technology use. So if you can use the technology appropriately, politely, then you are considered as digital citizens. However, there is another definition by Zamzam Fauzanafi. He's actually my friend that who will talk about ethnography, digital ethnography in the next meeting. He defines digital citizenship as not simply as the ability to participate in an online environment of prescribed ethical behavior, but as a set of acts that designate political subjects emerging from the encounter between the state and its citizens on the internet and in social media. These sets of acts are conceived of digital acts that are speech acts uttered through online activities such as blogging, messaging, emailing, tweeting, posting, liking, and commenting. So in summary, it's about, if someone as a citizen use the internet as a medium to claim their rights, then he is a digital citizen. It's according to Zamzam Fauzanafi, yeah. And in his article, he proposed that the act of digital citizenship includes witnessing. One of the digital acts performed by the citizen journalist is the act of witnessing. Citizens openly state what they perceive about corruption and searching for digital citizenship in the dynasty political malpractices. So he studied about the corruption practices in Serang, yeah, and he's doing research to the Facebook, and he found something like this, for instance, yeah. This picture on Facebook Banten. Bagi Anda mau sehat dan cepat besar hingga bisa ikut mencoblos pada pilkada nanti, makanlah biskuit pendamping ASI bermerek Gubernur ini, telah beredar di puskesmas dan posyandu terdekat. So there is a social subsidy, yeah. So the candidate for the governor, she gave the citizen support, yeah, milk for the baby. However, there is the picture of the governor there, the governor of Banten, and the citizen criticized this and posted on Facebook. According to Zamzam, this is the act of witnessing. So they're witnessing the abuse of power. Okay, and this is another one. There's also an act of flaming. Flaming is defined as an act of displaying hostility by insulting, swearing or using otherwise offensive language, or simply expressing disagreement or an alternative opinion or humorous play. So, for instance, someone post in the Facebook, Atut, bisanya cuma ngurusin muka aja, dasar tukang korup, ngaca dong, tuh muka udah kayak muka babi. So this is in English it means Atut. Atut is the the nickname of the governor. Atut, you can only take care of your face, and you are so corrupt. Please take a look at yourself in the mirror. Your face is just like the face of pig. Yeah. So it was witnessing. It's like insulting, swearing, cursing. Yeah. Because the governor was perceived as a corrupt. So this is another example of the act of citizenship. Yeah. According to Fauzanafi. Okay. Now I will present to you the case of KPK revision in the movement against the revision of the KPK law. Yeah, that yesterday I have presented to you that there is a online propaganda to support the beginning of the weakening of the anti-corruption body through revising the law, and there was an online support by the cyber troops for the revision. Now, as you could see here, there's actually resistance to this revision. So yesterday there were a lot of questions. Is there any resistance from the citizenship? Is there any resistance from the civil society? Is there any opposition to what the government has done or the power holders have done? And as you could see here, there's a petition, yeah, to refuse the revision of the law. Yeah, sorry, it should be I should add the word revision here. So it started actually from WhatsApp group. So as you could see here, there was a WhatsApp group consists of academics from all over universities in Indonesia, and they were initiating an online petition to refuse the revision. As you could see here, every day in this WhatsApp group, and I was there too, they were updating the number of lecturers that joined. For instance, from UGM, Gajah Mada University, there was 285 lecturers. From Indonesian University, 124 lecturers signing the petition. And from DIPONEGORO University, there were 54 lecturers, yeah, including me, including Bulaila, yeah, and I think including Pak NHS as well. And we influence the agenda setting of the media. So it produced news, for instance, by the TIK, yeah, in 9 September. Pak Jokowi, 1000 lebih dosen dari UGM hingga UI tolak revisi Undang-Undang KPK. Mr. Jokowi, Mr. President, more than 1,000 lecturers from Gajah Mada University to Indonesian University refused the revision of the law. Okay. And in DIPONEGORO University, in my university, there was also protest, and it was covered by Kompas. Yeah. And this is the picture in Kompas. Some students of DIPONEGORO signed the petition to refuse the revision, and this was the signatures of the students. The students of DIPONEGORO signed the petition to refuse the revision of the law. Okay, and this is the picture. So using the internet, it facilitates the protest. Yeah, it facilitates the act of digital citizenship. As you could see here, there were in total, this is Indonesia, right? And so you could see from the university all over Indonesia, from Sumatra to the eastern part of Indonesia, also in Java, in Borneo, in Celebes too, right? In total, there were almost 3,000 lecturers who signed the petition from 41 universities, from 22 provinces, using one WhatsApp group. So those who are in the WhatsApp groups was actually only tens of lecturers, yeah, puluhan dosen saja. However, they were the representatives of each universities. I was in that WhatsApp group too. So it was quite a powerful group, yeah, a powerful movement facilitated by the internet. However, suddenly there was, there was this. Rimawan is one of the coordinators of the WhatsApp group, and he suddenly spread private message to me and to all of the members of the group. He suddenly supported the revision, as you could see here, yeah. Emergency, the anti-corruption body, the Indonesian anti-corruption body, was not supervised anymore. It's very possible to be politicized by a person. So let's support the revision of the law. So he suddenly delivered a very strange message, and then we figured out that he was actually hijacked. His WhatsApp was hijacked by unknown party, by unknown person. We don't know who, and it caused panic in the WhatsApp group. For instance, yeah, dear all, because the old number of Rimawan was hacked, so I was here. So even though Rimawan was not there anymore, suddenly someone said that he was Rimawan, and we were wondering who he was actually, right? So there was a panic, and not just that, all of us, yeah, almost all of the academics in the WhatsApp group got a phone call from all over the world. This is the screen picture of my cell phone, my own cell phone, in which I got a phone call from all over. This code is not from Indonesia. There were some numbers were from the US, some from the UK, some part of Europe, and they called me, as you could see here, from 1342 to 14.8, so continuously until I finally turned off my cell phone in those days. And some of my colleagues told me that this is how they start. This is how they will hijack you. So first they call you with the strange number, and then they will hijack you like what they have done to Rimawan. So as you could see here, there was a report in the WhatsApp group that all of other members also got a strange phone call from all over the world, from UK, from the US, right? Reports from the members of the group, and then they were one by one left the group. So I got the hack. So please allow me to leave this group. So one by one they left the group. So it became news as well. Terror towards the anti-corruption activists was happening, right? As reported by BBC in 23 September, for instance. So, and what is cyber terror anyway? If we look at the in theory, it's the deliberate act of threat with illegal actions, either by a single person or in conspiracy against the integrity, confidentiality, or availability of information and of information processing systems and networks, leading to one or more of the following consequences: suffering, serious injuries or death of people, serious psychological effect to people and the population, serious societal disruptive economic loss, serious breach of ecological safety, serious breach of the social and political stability and cohesion. So you could see here that at least it has psychological effect to the people and population, and also it has impact the social stability. Yeah. The psychological effect, for instance, as I have told you before, those who left the group, right? And okay, some informant told me only the person I feel is being monitored like that. What kind of actions are there? What kind of discourse that I share seems to stick around. Another informant, a phenomenon later becomes a trend, and then maybe it can develop, which I call a part of terrorism, is that the social media, at the social media level. In this context, doxing and this is very terrible to me. One of the activists being terror, so he was worried that not just he got a phone call, but also he will experience doxing, because it will humiliate him as a person.
Widya?
Yes, I ran out of time, I think, right?
Okay, yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
So how many minutes I have? 2? 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Two more, please.
Great. Okay. And this is also another, disturb the coordination. So one of the coordinator of the movement, he wanted to have a press release. He wanted to coordinate with the other colleagues, right? But during that time, it was personally constant, and some calls did interfere with my communication. So he continued got a phone call to his cell phone. I was also got disturbed as I kept getting the phone call. We did not use the phone, only use WhatsApp. We could not answer any call because we were afraid, and we were reminded not to pick up, because if we pick up, then our number could be taken over and remoted from one direction. That was scary too. Okay. And as I told you yesterday, the end of the story was that the public mostly it was there was no longer news about the movement anymore, not as many as before. And then most of the public agree with the revision, and the revision was done in 17th September, and the integration body was now very much weakened. However, I would like to draw your attention to the glimpse of hope. Even though there was a cyber terror and the autocration surge, however, actually resistance grows. Perhaps that's what we can see. The silver lining after or in the storm. So we can see here the sign of civil resistance toward the ongoing democratic relegation in Indonesia, and we can see as well with the digital revolution, with this technology, there's also come the form of digital citizenship, in which the citizen can claim their rights, through the use of social media or internet. That will be the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Widya. Is it possible for the participants to have access to all presentations? Bapak Nur Hidayat shared his PPT. Perhaps Ibu Laila and Widya, you may share your PPT as well.
Yes, of course I will share it later. But now it's the question and answer, right?
Yes, exactly. And tell you the truth, it's difficult to interrupt during the presentations because all presentations are so interesting. So let's open the discussion. We have several questions already. First, from Taufan Malaka. Taufan, would you mind to open your micro? I hope it works today. And we would like to see you as well, if it is possible, of course. You're in Japan, right? You're in Nagoya? Okay. Still a technical issue? Okay, we will wait for you until you can work on it. Meanwhile, I will call Anthony Lee.
Thank you, Mbak Truli.
Hi, Anthony. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Mbak. Well, I have a question for Pak NHS. He was my informal mentor when I learned about election reporting. So I will ask him several questions that I think he can enlighten us in this issue. Pak NHS, my knowledge, KPU, or the Indonesian General Election Commission, in its IT blueprint, has chosen to develop, instead of e-voting, they are going to develop e-recapitulation system. So it's not we are using a ballot machine, but instead we move the process of recapitulation that usually manual and happen at the polling station level and then to the district level and also province level. But with the recapitulation, it will be directly from the ballot, from the polling station to the national level one. And there are several reasons that KPU brought out to justify their decision that are mainly grounded in three areas. The first is in the area of technicalities, because they argues that in Indonesia, the internet connections infrastructure is not equal. So maybe in Jakarta, we have a good and stable internet infrastructure, but it will be very different if we talk about several regions in Papua, for example, or in Maluku. And in addition to that, it is very expensive to buy the tool for the first time, because in the last election in 2019, we have around 800,000 polling stations. And if each of the polling station need at least 3 devices, and each device is, let's say, 3 to 4 million, so it can add up like more than 10 trillion rupiah. So it's very expensive. And in regards to the political culture, the trust between societies and trust of societies toward the government institution is rather low. So it might be possible that people will think that the system will be hacked, or they don't believe that if they don't see directly how the recapitulation process or the ballot are being recapitulated, for example. So it can be a fertile ground for disinformation widespread. And in regards of regulation, there is no basis for doing e-voting, at least until 2024, because there will be no law revisions until the 2024 election. I was wondering, what are your opinions about the argument that Cappy brought out about not choosing electronic voting? Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony, for your questions. I'm afraid Bapak Nur Hidayat is not here because he has told us already that he has a connection problem. I cannot see him, so perhaps others, if you see him. Bapak Nur Hidayat, are you there?
Yes, he experienced with the internet connection because in his area, I think the company tried to fix it, but it has finished yet. So yeah.
Okay. So perhaps Ibu Laila or Vija, if you can answer Anthony's question.
Pak Wija, I'm not expert at all at election.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
try to formulate the question for Mas Wija. I ask Mas Wija for answer the question. Mas Wija, you talk about the digital citizenship, and any kind of civic engagement or political engagement usually need certain amount of civic culture within the societies. And if we really want to do electronic voting, do you think that we as a society already have enough, let's say, digital culture, so that the second arguments that KPU brought out, for example, in terms of the political culture, the low trust between societies, and also possible digital manipulation or disinformation's not going to be a problem if, for example, if we really implement electronic voting, for example.
Okay, yeah.
To do that in the near future,
Oh,
the perspective of digital citizenship. Thank you, Mas Vija.
yeah. That's a difficult question, yeah. But I will share you my experience, yeah, instead of answering your question, because in Undip, in Diponegoro University, we have in Bulaila program, we have a special program on election, yeah, as part of the Magister of Political Science, and I have a chance to teach, yeah, but actually I learned from them the KPU officer, yeah, so Indonesian election commission officers. They became my students, and of course I meet them every week, yeah, and I ask them if you think we are ready or not to have, for instance, like e-voting, yeah, e-voting, and mostly they answer that we are not ready. The answers, the explanations were there are a long list of explanation, but I think what I found interesting the most is, or the most important reason is trust. So we have a low trust, yeah, in our society. So there was some students, for instance, say, "Sir, if we implement this, what if there's a hijack, there's a hacking? What if someone is intruding the system and then change the results, right? And what if someone manipulate this?" Yeah. I noticed that's actually my argument is still the same. Yeah, the internet is also the reflection of our society. Yeah, I think our society has a problem of trust in this regard, and not just trust, but trust to the public institution, right? Low trust, if we refer to many surveys, yeah, there's a low trust to political party, and there's a very low trust to the House of the Representative, right? And election is exactly about the political parties and about the political party members. It's a competition between political parties, right? A struggle for power between political parties member, and which then become the House of the members of the House of Representatives. So in this regard, I think that's the biggest problem, and I think Mas Antoni is right if he points out about the digital culture, yeah, or perhaps I will add civic culture in the digital public sphere. I think we have the problem about it. The cyber troops is one of the reflection of this problem in our digital culture, and also people tend to be not responsible, yeah, when they use internet, especially when they use anonymous name there, all of things that they don't usually say or write in the real world, in the offline world, they will write it there in the internet when everything was anonymous. So I think and if we talk about trust, so actually the problem is for me not the technology. The problem is for me is the people or the society. We actually can do the e-voting, yeah. We can do it actually. There's a technology for this. If you say, for instance, I tell my student, yeah, if you say that there's always someone who will hijack this, there is no system, even the offline system, that is free from hijack. Yeah, the kotak suara from the woods can be manipulated too, right? Because I have taught, I guess, yeah, many students of us are legislative members or political party members. We got a lot of stories about how manipulation of the election result was practiced or conducted even before the digital era came. So the reason is not the technology for me, but the people or the society. We're not ready, and when I say we're not ready, it is this is not to justify that we have to prevent using this, but this is to say that we have to be more, we have to support us, to motivate us to what is it, to create a better digital literacy for the publics, and also especially to the elites. That's the most important thing, because the highest distrust is to the elites, not not to I think we trust each other, right? That's why we can be here together. But to the elites, that's another story. That would be my take on that question.
So Anthony, is it fine for you, or you want to add more, or you still have some questions?
No, I think I totally agree with Mas Wija. I also believe that it's still a very long run before we can actually implement the electronic voting. Maybe in the next 2 or 3 decades, after we have deal with our trust within the society and also toward the what is called the state institution. Because in 2009, I think we tried to change from punching the ballots into ticking the ballot, and that was a disaster because so many ballot was declared not tidak sah. What is called tidak sah in English? What is
invalid?
Invalid.
Invalid, yeah. So because people are not used to.
Thank you, Tom.
Their what they used to be by punching the ballot just on the names or on the picture of the candidate, and then all of a sudden they have to change into ticking the names or the photos, and that was disastrous. And then we get back to the old good days and punching the ballot, even though that in a lot of the world we are maybe only several states that still use this system, punching the ballot by using nail. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perhaps some of participants can share as well. How does it work in your own country? We still have about 27 minutes, so I think we still have time for that, right, Vija?
Yeah. I would like to hear actually the experience from Malaysia or from Philippines, whether you have e-voting in your country, whether it has been done there. We have, I think, Marieli here, yeah? Marieli?
Marielle, and also from the Pantitra, you're from Thailand, if I'm not mistaken, from your name.
And one Rohila too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or can I,
perhaps
while waiting for our friend from Philippines or Thailand, maybe we can also move to questions.
Yes. You can.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. There one more question, perhaps that Vija can answer, perhaps from Taufan, because he cannot unmute his speaker. So
yeah.
I will read the question. Can we utilize e-vote general election in 2024 and being organized to decrease costly money politics?
I think that's the question to Pak NHS too, yeah?
Yes, to Bapak Nur Hidayat.
But isn't that Pak NHS already answered? Yeah, 2024 seems to still impossible, yeah, for having voting, yeah. But I'm not sure as well if it's conducted online, then money politics will disappear too. It's not that simple. There will always be a way.
Yeah, we are not being pessimistic, we are just being realistic.
Just realistic, yes.
Okay, so Ibu Laila, there are several questions as well for you that and there are very interesting. Okay, there is one from Benny Baskara. Benny, would you like to unmute your microphone?
Hello,
I think
Mas.
it can be nice. It can be nice if we can just address the question directly so we can have a
Yeah,
dynamic
hello.
discussion. Hi,
Hello, my
Benny.
friend.
How are you today?
Hi, I'm
He's
fine, thank you.
my fellow in our doctoral program actually.
So are you in Semarang or in Jogja or
I'm
somewhere? I
in
don't know.
Sulawesi, in Kendari.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for your information, Sulawesi is not far from the Philippines. It's just next to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the southward of Philippines. Yeah, I just
Okay.
have a comment to Mbak Laila that in my opinion, tobacco control is very difficult to be implemented in Indonesia because I think tobacco and cigarette is already embedded in our culture. For example, in traditional communities, they give offerings to the spirit by cigarette, and appreciating the what you call it, like traditional shaman or good person with cigarette with tobacco. Yeah, I think it is it's very difficult. And the second one is also it should be admitted that government earn so much money from tax and what you call it, cukai in English, from cigarette and tobacco. So to rely on the government policy to control tobacco, it's also very difficult because it's like a dilemma, because the government also earn very much benefit from the tobacco and cigarette. Yeah, this is only my comment and opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I can directly answer, Bu Trulli. Thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Benbas. My first question is, are you a smoker or not?
No, actually, I'm not a smoker.
But don't be that pessimistic. We have to, I agree with you that, and I agree with your point that thing is not that easy actually. Yes, and the struggle is still need a long way. According to. But this does not reduce the importance of advocating this issue publicly, especially by involving the youth. You know that actually Ministry of Health already set up a target in 2014 that by 2019 there would be the lessening of prevalence of children to smoke from 7 to 5%. But according to the basic health research by the ministry in the 2018, the prevalence is increased to 9% instead of reducing. So the homework become bigger and bigger, and the effort need to be stronger and stronger. And that is why, despite all the pessimism, despite all the challenge, we need also stronger move to make sure that the government have strengthened the regulation on tobacco and the control and the control of its aspect. And also actually, according to some research, actually tobacco, it's only a myth that tobacco dominate or contribute the highest in our economy. What is the element of the tobacco contribution? Actually, from the cukai or the tax paid by the customer, it is not paid by the company. So it's the citizens' contribution. It is not the company's contribution. And also another one is the financial element from the tobacco is from its advertisement that is so massive. And in some cases, it is found that cities or regencies that withdraw the tobacco advertisement from its public space did not lose its income. Among them, as an example, is Bogor City under the leadership of Dr. Bima Arya. And also DKI Jakarta also does not accept tobacco advertisement in open space. But of course, this is not enough. So banning the advertisement it's very important because you know that the first interactiveness of children to smoke is from advertisement. But still there are so many moves need to enact, like to strictly campaign for healthy lifestyle, and also involving the children as a campaigner for their fellow schoolmates or fellow playing mates, for instance, etc. etc. That's one thing. And another thing, with regarding to the economic contribution by the tobacco companies, actually I agree with you that the government is so pragmatic, yeah, so short oriented, so short term oriented entity gitu. Because it's you know that no matter how the government set up the lowest price for the tobacco, like set up 30,000 rupiah, they can still press the price. And the willingness of the buy it does not reduce at all with the a bit higher price. And this is kind of challenge too, in which companies and government like bisa saja gitu loh, gimana memapatkan biaya produksinya, how to minimize the production cost to get the best price, so there would be still so many people that consume the smoke gitu. Jadi that's really a tricky issue for youth activists to deal with. But actually of course youth movement is done by Smoke Free Agent through Instagram and other social media platform is not the only one. Yeah, they are engaging with some other CSO and CBO mobilized by activists, more mature activists, like maybe the one that already have experience from for more than decades in advocating this issue. And I think the good news is that despite the higher prevalence of children to smoke, the movement is also getting more massive. Yeah, according to their sharing in our interview, they are get more connected across Indonesia. Together, they work together with more established institutions like Yayasan Jantung, etc., and so forth. And also, they are supported by some ministries. They build a good engagement with Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection. They also have good cooperation actually with Ministry of Health. And also with Ministry of Education and Sport and Youth. This ministry actually supporting the movement initiated by young people, both offline and also online. And another thing with regarding to the view of culture, actually, if I may comment this, that it also represent what the company use an excuse to remain advertising its product limitlessly. Yeah, they use excuse, this is our culture, blah blah blah. If we actually can more critically assess how actually the tobacco production operate in Indonesia, we can see that we are not become the only object. You know that tobacco farmers are mostly excluded, but they're always being made as an excuse for the companies to to disagree with all the limitation proposed by the youth or maybe anti-tobacco activists. And this is only one thing. Another thing, actually, tobacco company also often use their laborers in the name of employment. If the government allow the issuance of the policy for tobacco control, then how about our employer? How about our labor? And they also mobilize the labor against the policy. In fact, actually, tobacco factory are not dominating in our economic what to say in our economic structure. Yeah, there are so many companies that employ a laborer beside tobacco, and they can still survive, like from the confection or maybe from food processing, etc., etc. So you know that maybe I'm too far with the anti-tobacco activists, but at least this is based on our study so far, and also based on our interview. Yeah, itu sih Mas Ben. Thank you by the way for the question.
Yeah, thank you very much for your response,
yeah.
Mbak Laila.
Ibu Laila, before we move on to next questions, there is a very interesting comment from Elo. So Elo, perhaps it's better if you share in this forum.
For the secret issue, like Bu Reda so will explain, the government Jokowi, the first administration, tried to hide the price of cigarette, but the industrial factor opposed. And this because not about the economic situation, because it's not important about how a lot of people work in the industry tobacco Indonesia. So it's a need or not for the economy, they need, because they are put into work. So about this, and if the price of the tobacco was too high, the people don't buy the cigarettes, of course. For the culture issue mixed by the DEPA, I think is can be like the law for the alcohol. For alcohol now, for example, alcohol like produced by local, not the like the public local, just for ritual, like the Torajan people used to drink together with funeral, so they can use. It can be the same for cigarettes, because I used to live in Indonesia for a while. And I see a lot of children, like 5, 6, they buy a lot of cigarettes, because in Indonesia you can also buy one biji cigarette. So there is no regulation for this. So the people just get it. It's very, problematic, because it's like anyone can buy cigarettes. There are regulations. They don't ask you if you are majority age or not. So the first step, I think, the government needs to is the regulation on the age. Like stop. For example, one age they say, I go to buy a cigarette for my father, but when they buy, they try to smoke, and I see a lot of children smoke in the park in Indonesia. So the problem is, like, how you regulation the problem, not just say, oh, it's inside the culture, so we cannot do. We can also need to wear the strong culture cigarette. And the cigarette was like €1.42 packs. Now it's 10, and now the majority of people have smoked after 10 years. More people no smoke because it's expensive. It's one solution, but it's necessary. And not important, like also the economy can change. The people, maybe after a long time, the production of tobacco can be moved in another production. For example, like take the electronic system. Even Philip Morris say in Europe, they will change from tobacco to electronic, because Iran people don't smoke anymore. No more. So they want to more like electronic cigarettes and non-tobacco cigarettes. Can be also in Indonesia. Just a consideration.
Yes, thank you, Elo, for the sharing. I think I agree with you that it doesn't work at all to raise the price of the tobacco, because it will be opposed. But in fact, the government already raised the price, but not that much. So it's still affordable by the lay people. And also, you know that there are 2 cases for there are 2 cases for tobacco companies. The first one is mass consumption, and the second one is addiction. So the key is the younger people begin to smoke, then the more difficult it is to to quit, actually, to quit. So that's the key. That is why they not only oppose the taxing, but also they oppose the limitation for advertisement. And they see the very big hole in the Indonesian law, especially advertisement that use internet-based media. Yeah, there is still the law. The law number 32 2002 still only regulate advertisement on television. It's still not regulating advertisement on the media using internet based. And also it only and the government decree also only regulates conventional cigarette. It still does not touch electric cigarette as well as cigarette pouch, like cigarette candy practice so massively in Europe. And they still see this is a very big hole. And now I think it's quite the same with the Europe, that now there is a shift among the youth from the way they smoke from the conventional one to the electric, and also to the cigarette pouch. We call it as velo, yeah, as velo. Jadi, yes, I agree with you that the challenge is it's so huge, and but I think it doesn't reduce the significance or the urgency of the encouraging the youth to get involved within the tobacco control activism, including through the social media, I think. And with the culture, I think tobacco is quite different with alcohol. Yes, in Indonesia, if I share with some tobacco control activists, tobacco quite controllable actually, because the community have willingness to get involved in the control, like religious scholars, etc., kiai, ulama. They are willing to control the alcohol because they call it as haram, yeah, prohibited based on Islamic teaching. But it's not work with tobacco. Even religious scholars are become the leader or maybe the pioneer of the tobacco consumption. And cultural approach, I think would be quite challenging. The one that is really important is through education, began since the very early age of children. So that and also beside empowering family, empowering school, and also university become very important. I think we can check how actually school and university respond to this issue. It's almost absent. Yeah, it's so if it is there, the approach is quiet. Somehow the teacher are counseling teacher jadi guru BK using quiet, not educative approach, while they sanction the student while they are smoking. Jadi it's quite irony. In school, teachers are really still not quite sensitive to this. At university, lecturers also are quite not sensitive to this. So children are actually still very prone to the result this thing, yeah. So I'm sorry for letting you get more headache, yeah, with this kind.
No, I know, because I also smoke, and I know because in Indonesia, my first time was university, they used to smoke in the class, and I also smoke in the class. So.
But so I think I agree with you. Yeah, that raising the price would be one of the way, one of the effective way, because if they are not able to afford, then they will stop.
And also, I think other problem is like the cigarette in Indonesia is very iklan. I mean, there are a lot of iklan in the street, like the big iklan, and I noted by like for example, there are connection with the sport or strong man and cigarette. I mean, there are this is like, I mean, it's very strange.
Image
so like for example, Sempurna like to promote the cigarette in Indonesia, which this man that song the guitar like a strong man.
So manly.
Yeah. So,
and ironically, the advertisement was placed surrounding the school. Although there are regulations that ban that, still there are some government cannot control the advertisement around the school. Yeah.
Okay, this is where the movement is important actually in the society. So there are several questions already about movements, like digital movement, and I think these questions address to Ibu Laila and Wija as well. unfortunately, S2 she cannot unmute her micro, so I will read it, and Tommy has left, so I will read their questions. And we have like a relates question from Eduardo, so I will call your name later, Eduardo. But first, let me read the questions from S2 and Tommy.
Okay.
From Tommy to Ibu Laila. Do you think there are areas in which these youth digital movements could get better results? Next question from S2 to you as well. Based on the two cases that you have presented, can we describe or map the characteristic of youth movement? Do they more concern on the everyday life social issues like smoking or mental health than on the direct local or state political governance or policy issues like the electoral system, etc.? Perhaps Vijay, you can answer these questions as well. And because of the limited time, I will invite Eduardo to ask your question directly. Edo.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I guess my question is already same like Mr. Anthony Lee. I guess you already have a great discussion and answer from Mr. Wija, but maybe I will just focus with the sample of in the remote area, because my research, I conduct PhD research in the remote area and really remote area. I mean, there's lack of internet, there's no electricity in Pulau Seram, in Seram Island. It's not quite far from Ambon, so it's funny also. But how about in Papua? So maybe I just want to asking, and maybe you Ibu Laila and Mr. Wija can share about how this digital movement apply in the daily basis society or citizen with no internet or digital literacy culture. So how is developed this digital movement? This is very positive, or maybe this is developmentalist, I don't know. But from the hardcore anthropology or the very hardcore anthropology, is very contradiction. You know, like in the desa adat, sometimes the culture is resistant to the not just for the policy or the government, but also with electricity for the behalf of the adat or the culture that resistant to the electricity. So how this digital movement, this is very new for me. So that's why I came to this seminar, because it's very helpful for me to how this digital literacy and the culture of digital can apply to the society or citizens, our citizen, Indonesian citizen. There's no daily basis life of internet, or it's not quite or even not interested or even resistant with this digital or electricity, specifically for Bu Laila, maybe for the youth, for the anak muda, yeah, in the desa, or even their life doesn't connect it with internet. So how this digital literacy can impact physically movement in the remote area and this area. Thank you very much.
Who first, me or Pak Wija?
You can do Jangkeng Poi first.
Okay, thank you. I will be very brief, yeah, for Pak Tommy. Yes, actually there are few progress, yeah. For instance, in the case of reproductive health, I think the revision of law on marriage that changed the age of the minimum bride for marriage from 16 to from 16 to 18 is quite a progressive achievement supported by the youth. Of course, there are so many women activists within, ya, from KPI, Koalisi Perempuan Indonesia, from Yayasan Kesehatan Perempuan, so many other women activists supporting this. But also this I know that this massively also involve youth as part of the movement. But of course, I think that there are so many other homework that are still not solved, like in the case of tobacco, in the case of sweetened beverage, yeah, like Cokes, or maybe the apa namanya, teh kota, teh pabrikan, that is also as dangerous as a cigarette. These are still not touched quite strongly by the movement, but we have to be very optimistic with all the progress that we have, although it's quite slow. And then the second one from Pak Estu or Bu Estu, this is actually what I really think about youth movement, which I present to you today. That I seemingly identify that there is a bit different, yeah, with the way Gen X like me using social media, and also generation millennial. It seems that if we, like me, Gen X, that use social media, usually we use it for coordination and also for communication among docents, like to mobilize for protesting against like revisi undang-undang KPK misalnya. So we often think something very big and something very serious. Meanwhile, seemingly that we have to reset this more, that the Gen X or maybe Gen Z, yeah, use this like, okay, state, you don't provide us, we will make it by ourselves using social media. So this seems to be what we can see from the way they set up their platform. Because the state did not provide the service, so we try to provide it by ourselves through social media. Because you know that like Menjadi Manusia or maybe other platform, they cut money from their broadcasting, and they use it to supporting their fellow youth to handle the issue of mental disorder, for instance, yeah. This, I think the question of Bu Estu really highlight the very important point, especially relating to the difference between generation in utilizing social media as instrument to support the movement. So they really tend to deal with the very daily issue, to deal with the very concrete thing, very not trivial, but say it's really related to their own life. so I think I tend to agree with this, yeah, but there is a difference between generation in using the social media. And the last question from Pa Eduardo, I think that apart from the benefit of the rise of the youth movement through social media, I agree with you. There might be urban bias in this. Yeah, I know that the cases I mentioned to you all is based in Jakarta. Although actually they are also try to engage with so many other youth throughout Indonesia, but I'm sure that most of them engage with Menjadi Manusia and Smoke Free Agent are those in at least in capital city or maybe in capital of the regency or ibu kota kabupaten atau kota madya sebetulnya. I agree with you that how to handle the people or maybe the youth that does not have internet access at all it's really a big homework. But according to this is still very limitedly covered. Yeah, you know that organization like Plan or Oxfam or maybe other donor supported institution really play a crucial part in supporting those people, although they still have not yet, come into level facilitating this youth in the rural and remote area to get involved in the digital movement. At least they are introduced to the issue that are usually not aware is part of their issue, like reproductive health. Usually youth does not aware that this is their issue, this is their problem. But with the coming of this organization, they start to realize that, okay, having arranged marriage by my parent at the age of 16, it's a problem, and I have to talk to my parent not to do this until I mature enough. So I think apart from the limitation and also weaknesses, at least this kind of approach can help a bit with the lack of access on the issue between those living in urban and also those living in rural area. Okay, thank you, Pu. Truly, that's for me.
Thank you so much, Bu Laila. We are running out of time, but there are still some comments or questions that I think it is important to share before we close our session today. I would like to call out our friend from Malaysia, Wan Rohila. Is it possible for you to unmute your micro? I know that it is raining. You told me that it is raining there in Malaysia at this moment. I hope you're not having connection problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you mind to share your thoughts?
Yeah, just very short sharing in the context of internet movement in Malaysia. Just like other our neighbors, we don't have e-voting, but the Pakatan Harapan government that defeated the Barisan Nasional government, the 65 years of ruling government, Barisan Nasional was defeated by the Pakatan Harapan government in the 2008 election. One of the factors was due to internet popularity. They were so popular on internet. But after about 2 years ruling the country, they seem lost traction. They failed to fully utilize the social media. They lost their fan-sitter supporters, and they were drowned with internet propaganda played by the Islamic Party, played by the Malay Party, who play racial card, religious card, who trolled them. Okay, so they also failed to face the internet movement from the youth NGOs until they were hijacked by their own 2001. Sorry, 2021. Okay, so for me, this is how internet movement play a role. Okay, they from an opposition, they managed to win the election because one of the factors was internet movement, and due to internet movement, they lost their popularity. So that's what I'm going to share with you today.
Thank you so much, Wan Rohila, for sharing with us. Yes, I think it's interesting if all of us can share what happens in your own country, so we can learn from each other. Okay, there is a last question from Nurli Meilinda. Hi, Nurli.
Okay, hi. Thank you, Miss Gloria, for the opportunity. I know the time
Thanks to you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Okay, I'm sorry I cannot turn on my camera because I'm not camera ready and I also have such a low connection. But thank you so much for all the speakers, because today's discussion is really interesting. I would like to ask Mr. Wija, or maybe if Miss Laila also have an opinion about this, I would love to hear it. I've read a couple of research that see that internet activism actually draws us away from the more effective forms of activism offline. And then the research referred it as selectivism or lazy activism, because we cannot really know how this kind of activism can turn into more institutionalized politics. Can you share your thought about this? Since Mr. Wija have done the research about the anti-corruption movement, is there any possibility that some people just want to participate without consider they act as citizen? So they just want to click just like comment or like without considering their part or as the citizen. Thank you, Miss Gloria, and thank you for the answer.
Mbak Nurli or Bu Nurli, before you end it, may I know where you're from or what is your background?
I am from Sriwijaya University in South Sumatra, and I'm a lecturer of communication studies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, Nurli. Perhaps Wija and Ibu Laila, if you can answer these questions and giving us the closing statement at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Laila, you want to start first, or?
No, it's your turn.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to say thanks for the response and questions. Yeah. I will start with one Miss Wan Rohila. Yeah. I think you provide us a very interesting story about what's going on in Malaysia. Yeah. And I think in this last 1 week we hear very little about the experience in other country. We talk mainly about Indonesia. So thank you for sharing your experience, yeah, in Malaysia. We want to hear more from friends in Philippines and Thailand and Myanmar and other countries. Yeah, but I think you're not really asking questions. Yeah, you just share a story about what happens in Malaysia. Perhaps Ms. Wan Rohila, perhaps may I know what's your background? Are you a lecturer or a student or something?
Lecturer, university lecturer.
In which university?
University Malaysia Terengganu.
Oh, okay. Then perhaps one day we can do research together, yeah, comparing Indonesia.
Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for.
Because I think yeah, one of the reasons why we do this is to collaborate in the future, right?
That's right.
Not just for academic purpose, but also for sharing experience, for strengthening social movement across countries, or initiating perhaps, yeah, across countries. So we will plan something as a follow-up of this forum. Thank you. And then I will go to Eduardo, yeah, and Nurli. I think that's I've never had an ethnography in a remote area, sadly. Yeah, my ethnography in Kompas Daily newspaper was in Kompas Daily newspaper and was in the Palmyra, in this very urban area. However, I remember the story, and I was doing research about it, yeah, of Dandi Dwi Laksono, right? Bung Dandi, he did, my interview was specifically about Samin versus Samin. Yeah, so how it worked was that this movie that he made to the people in Kendeng, Samin people in Kendeng, there is no internet there, right? And I don't believe that they have good internet connection, for instance. But then they came to that place and he played the YouTube of the Semen versus Samin, and then it triggered movement. And then this video was watched, and this YouTube was watched by people in Germany as well. And as Dandy told, the owner of the shareholders of the company, the factory company in Germany, they were old people. They used their pension money for buying the stocks of the factory. They protest, right? And then the woman, yeah, the leading woman, met the owner of this cement factory in Germany, and then they did it from one place to other place. I think this is where the something that makes it different, right? Because that's the smart thing, I guess, with the nobar thing, yeah. Watching movie together, so people may not have a good internet connection, but they were facilitated to watch the movie together, and then they could reflect together afterwards, and then they could formulate a follow-up for doing this movement, right? So I guess that would be one of the ways to where the internet plays a role, yeah, can influence. That's why in my article, based on that interview, I said combining online and offline. Some of the commentators said it's an oxymoron because you cannot use YouTube for combining online offline. Online and offline is different, right? But they don't understand the reality is that the YouTube was online, then the movie was online, but those who watch it, they watch it offline, right? They watch it in the real world, in the village, in the remote area, and then they were inspired. So that is how Dandy also smartly, when he came to a place and he wanted to make a movie about that one place, he started by, you know, playing his previous movie in that place, No Bar, in that place. So we would like to make a movie like this. You agree or not? And people, yes, agree. You know, that's the very efficient way to make people realize and aware about the environmental destruction, right? About the danger, and also I watch, yeah. Oh no, I read in the comments column of the Dundee movie, yeah. Most of the audience said, I just know that there's a problem of salmon imprisonment after watching this movie. So, you know, in a way, it makes people realize and aware that there's such kind of problem. I think many of problems in Indonesia with regard to environment, for instance, I have never known, or maybe I know, but I know very little. But after I watched this movie, then I know better, or I know and I understand more, right? So I think that could be one of the ways, yeah. And that will be what I can comment on your questions, because I was never in the remote area myself. And with for the question from Miss Nurli Melinda, selectivism. Yeah, I think Marilyn Allen used this term first. However, you know, if you read Marilyn Allen's work, sometimes in that work she was optimistic. She says, "Oh, internet is good for supporting movement, right?" And then there are any other work that was actually not, right? So I think based on my reading on Merlina, for instance, or my experience, first, in theory, some movement using the internet were successful, and sometimes some movement were not. And that's also pointed out by Merlina as well. And then the next question, whether it is just a selectivism or just a click activism, I think that's not the case in the academics movement, anti-corruption, in the anti-corruption movement in KPK, yeah, to refuse the revision of the KPK law, you know, because I interviewed them, and all of them were academics like me, and they were activists too, and they said that you know, and they have been an activist since before the terror, and the terror in 2019 was not the first time, and they were activists before, they were activists, and they were still activists now, just like me. So you know, there are people like Herlambang, you know, yesterday he was also one of the person that I interviewed. Rimawan Padipjo, he is an activist until now. He initiated Sonjo, you know, the community to support the pandemic victims in Jogja. And there were you know, a professor in IPB, in UI. You know, this is, we can say that this is not just ordinary people. Yeah? They're crazy people, I think. Yeah, I will not say they're intellectuals, or I will not dramatize them as intellectual or whatever. Yeah, I think they're crazy people like me. Yeah, who was doing seminar like this in Saturday afternoon, right? And also tomorrow, who initiated a forum like this to initiate a social movement across countries, for instance. So they're not just click activism that they were doing, or selectivism. They were very ideological, I think. They were the people who believe in democracy, who believe on the act of citizenship, that we have to claim our rights as citizens. I believe it myself. Yeah, I believe that we have to struggle for our democracy. Yeah, like, it's cliche, but I believe it, like, the word of Muhammad Hatta. Ya, hanya ada satu negara yang pantas disebut sebagai negaraku, dan dia tumbuh dari perbuatan, dan perbuatan itu adalah perbuatanku. Ya, there's only one country that can be considered as my country, and it grows from an action, and that action is my action. So yeah. So this is I think that's actually what Isin said in his concept of citizenship. Yeah, citizenship is an act of claiming rights. Yeah, because the right will not fall from the sky. We have to claim it. We have to struggle for democracy to be better. We have to struggle for for justice. We have to struggle for welfare, yeah, of the society, and yeah. Because the elites will not give it to us freely. We have to force them, as I have explained before, using the concept of Darren Asamoah and James Robinson. The oligarch, we have to challenge them, and the oligarchs needs a serious challenge from the strong civil society, and hopefully that's us. And with regard to the KPK revision, anti-corruption movement, yeah, to refuse the revision, the petition, to refuse the petition, those who I interviewed were those kind of people. So I think the cyber terror didn't affect them. That would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Ibu Laila? Okay. Ibu Laila, are you still there?
Perhaps I think he's.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Is it final word or answer? I hope it's final word. Hello.
You can give both. You can give both answer and closing statement at the same time.
Okay. I think Pak Wijaya already answered the question. I think I totally agree with him. Yeah. That that somebody can be bridge to connect issue in the very rural area to be spread widely up into the global scale. Yeah, like in the case of cement. I think I just want to share with you my final statement, that that there are so many areas that are still not elaborated quite sufficiently in the theme of digital media, and also democracy, and especially the youth. Although in fact actually the youth are among those neglected in the policy making, and therefore attention and also refocusing our research on how youth advocate themselves through social media, and how it connects with the very remote area of the country. It can be a very promising area too in the study of digital media, governance, democracy, and public policy. So that's from me, Bu Truly. Thank you for the opportunity, and apologies for any kekurangan for me, and hope you all have happy and healthy days, and tetap semangat. Terima kasih.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Laila. And thank you for all participants to remain in this session, even though we are 30 minutes late, and to join us today, even though it is weekend. And I hope you are having an excellent weekend. by participating in this session. And again, thank you, Ibu Laila and Wijayanto, for your interesting presentations. Really, me as well, I learned a lot and about digital citizenship and social movement. I think it is important for us because nowadays we are under confinement. We cannot go out like we did before. So digital society, it's becoming, a part of our life nowadays. And it is important to speak up at the same time. And tomorrow we are going to start at what time, Wija?
Tomorrow we'll start at 13, and we will have an advice. Actually, it's practical advice from our colleague in SafeNet about toolkits for digital safety for social media activists. So, I think this is the forum for a person like me, yeah, who sometimes got a cyber terror from someone that I know, and how to protect our email, our cell phone, our WhatsApp, something like that. And we will have as well. So that will start at 13 to 15, and in the afternoon we'll have a virtual coffee with virtual coffee with host and co-host. So we will just.
Oh, that's nice.
So we'll just have a relaxed discussion and introduction each other more, yeah, with a host, with Undip people, and also with friends from Altorsi as well. Truly will be there too, right? Gabriel and also friends from SafeNet. Hopefully we can discuss more about the future collaboration or something like that, because every day we have a tight schedule, right? We have mentor, we have speaker, and we have a serious discussion. So we hope tomorrow we can use the time to just talk, relax, and even the seminar in 13 is also a kind of not theoretical content. Yeah, it's about how to do how to stay safe in this digital world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is what we need.
And we will share the flyers and Zoom link as always. Pak Gulam, any additional information?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good Saturday night. Yeah, have a not good, yeah, because it already ruins your weekend. I hope you have a decent.
Thank you all.
Okay, hope to see you tomorrow. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Stay safe.
Bye. Bye.
See you tomorrow.